I decided to bring the camera along today. Bow season opens in just under 2 weeks. So I drove to public land that I like to hunt around the house, and I think all the guys are going to come up here opening weekend and we're going to hunt. And so I slipped up here and I'm driving dirt roads just to see on this public land what kind of crops have been planted, what's been cleared, and what the farmers have done around here on this public land. Some of this land they allow the farmers to come in and to put crops in. Some years they put crops in, some years they don't. So I came in here and just kind of check all the fields and drive around and see if we can spot any bucks, see if we can see any deer, and we might do a little bit of walking and just see what we can see tonight. So I'm excited to get out here and see what's going on. Got to the first spot I'm going to walk in. Hunted this spot a few times last year. They had brush hogged a bunch of this brush here and knocked some of it down, but there's still some real tall brush right there that they left up, which is a good bedding area. But what I'm going to do is walk over this hill here. There's a real good transition area where there's basically like 3 strips of woods that kind of make just like basically like a T, where it's a good place for the deer where they travel back and forth. And I want to go over the top of this and we'll just see if there's any food plots or if they put any beans back here. Looks like there's a lot of beans planted around. All right, nothing at the first spot. Didn't see, there's nothing planted over there and wasn't too much sign, so we're gonna just keep moving on. I'm gonna go pretty quick because I basically have about 2 hours till dark. So I'm gonna keep moving on so I can walk to these places real quick and just check them out. Okay guys, I came to a new spot from the last one now. This used to be a huge thicket back here, and you can see they brush hogged it all out of here this year. Last year I seen a lot of nice bucks in this thicket and it's all gone. So they left some big piles of brush just from, I think they had some old brush piles there when they knocked down a bunch of trees. So those are still here, but the bucks don't have near the cover, so they probably won't be in here as thick as they were last year. So we're gonna have to find a new spot where they're gonna be bedded. This is a little area by that thicket that has a little pond. A lot of deer were in here last year and I just jumped too. Look like does to me, but this thick spot right through here, they're still bedded in there, so that's good. So this might be a spot that we can hunt in here somewhere. We'll try it in the next few weeks. Alright guys, we found a really good spot. Now this is close to where Jonathan shot his buck last year, that big buck, but it's all really grown up in here and really thick. These are the areas that I really like to focus on because deer just love bedding in these areas. They love laying down in these thick areas down deep into the grass and the brush. So there's an area over here that looks really good. So we're definitely going to focus on this whenever we come to hunt in here. So I'll show it to you guys. Alright guys, the bunch of turkeys out in this field. Just got to a new spot. The last few spots I've checked I don't like very good. There hasn't been very much sign and they're not quite set up like they were last year. So gonna check this one spot back over here and just see how it looks and see if there's any good thickets over here in areas where I can see if the deer have been out in the beans, and then go from there. Just check. Well, I'm looking for spots like this. What we have here is a big bean field right here. We got a little tiny ditch creek in front of us that's just only got water during wet weather. Then we have a big thicket, and the thicket is mainly grass, but it has a lot of little bushes and everything coming up through it. And that's what I like, because what it does is it gives those bucks cover, and that's what they really want, is that cover. And so more than likely those bucks will be bedded right here close to their bedding or to their food. They can bed right here and then boom, come out here at night. And so all we got to do is find us a tree here in between here to cut them off, or to watch and see where they bed. And once you see them, as long as you don't spook them, a lot of times the next night they'll bed in the same exact spot. So then you can make a move on them and try to get in close to them. So this is a really good spot that I like. I just jumped a nice 8-pointer and I barely missed getting him on film. That's aggravating when I can't get him on. Get some footage of him so you guys can see him. He was a nice one. He just ran across the strip of woods and into this other bean field. He'll be gone, but I found a good spot right here. Some of them are still out there feeding. No bucks yet, so hoping here in a second some bucks come out. Alright guys, I just snuck out of that field. Didn't look like no bucks was going to come out, and I'm going to drive down this one dirt road. There's a bunch of bean fields on it, and just drive down it and just see if I can find one that might have some bucks in it. So these roads don't get drove down too often, so hopefully there'll be a buck in them, and I can kind of see which fields are being used the most. That one's being used quite a bit. That was 9 does I seen in that field, and then that 8-pointer was right on the edge that I spooked. So I'm gonna get to my car and see if we can find some. Well, got done, headed back home, and it was a pretty successful trip. I found a lot of different things that we would have had to figure out when we got here, because you know, you never know on this public land whether or not they're gonna plant stuff, or if they're gonna let it grow, or what they're gonna brush hog. So I found out a lot out about the terrain, because we've hunted here before, but they change it every year pretty much. Didn't really get any footage of bucks, but I saw 3 different bucks, 2 small ones and an 8-pointer, and then saw quite a few does. And I think we got some pretty good places that we can go hunting in the next 2 weeks whenever bow season opens. So we'll be up here opening weekend. We'll be putting out some public land deer hunting videos, so make sure to follow along and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We'll really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.